I'd like to recall the meeting to order. Moving on to item number 9, unfinished business. The first item is to appoint a new member to the Utility Advisory Board. And I think there's been ballots, there's a couple we can send down.
Supposed to count.
And then there's just
I remember you said right after the meeting.
I did.
Yeah, I remember seeing it also.
Mine's just a tiebreaker. If you'd like to announce it.
All right. It looks like unanimously Don Kaysen is recommended to fill the remainder of Debbie Framberg's position.
Okay, very good.
Can
Thank
I
you.
make a statement about that? There was an issue last month about him holding other positions, and would this violate the 2 appointed positions? We did research. We talked to Fleming Bell of the Institute of Government, who actually wrote the book on conflicts in government. We talked to Frida Bluestein, and they basically said this position, which is advisory, does not constitute one of those 2 that leads to a conflict issue.
Got it. Very good. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 9B, the deposit increase for rental property utility accounts. And there was a suggestion, I think Bob brought it up, that we increase the property utility account deposit from $150 to $200 effective immediately. Linda, would you like to come up and tell us, give us your rationale? The answer is no.
I can comment on it.
Okay,
Yeah.
or just to answer any questions. We just want to get you up here. Come on.
Come on up.
Says it all in your letter, your email. So what do you want to know? What did you want to ask me?
No, I think Bob explained it before, but just in case there were any questions for Linda on increasing the deposit amount, mainly because the new rate has gone up to 193, I think is the number.
Base rate.
The base rate. And so we wanted enough to cover that deposit to cover that particular fee. Any other questions for Linda?
Well, I understand, I had an earlier discussion with Commissioner Cameron on this issue to clarify some things, and I understand that the Utility Advisory Board recommendation is to make this increase for new account holders only.
That's
Does not apply to a current account holders.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So with that understanding, I'm fine. Did you make a motion already?
No, you go ahead, you're getting ready to start, so.
No, I don't know. Okay, I make a motion that we increase the deposit for rental property utility accounts from $150 to $200 effective immediately for new account holders.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Bob. Are there any further discussion?
Yeah,
Here?
I've got some discussion.
Okay,
This is for water and sewer on it, right? Water and sewer. We just raised the sewer rate particularly by a lot because we had to do that to get the funding for the Green Line project. I understand that. We don't have to do this, and the folks who are renting, I think about the folks out at Lake Vista, it's a lot. They're already paying more, the higher rate, and to put another $50 on there, which is really not gonna, it's not gonna be a meaningful number in our budget. But I think that, and it's not like it was electricity. We're paying on one end, and we're paying for it to come in, and we're reselling a product. Here, it's water and sewer. We're paying the same thing either way. It's we're not paying per gallon on the water, we're pumping it out of the ground. So, I can't support, raising the utility deposit for renters, and we're doing it just for renters and not for everybody. We could do, I wouldn't have any problem with running credit checks, and if somebody had had a history of not paying their bills on time, we could charge more for them. But, the utilities the places that I've had experience with getting utilities, if you call in and say, well, I've had utilities here or there, and here's my credit information, they check it, and most times you don't have to pay a deposit at all. And I would rather see us look at maybe reducing the deposits for people who had good credit, because this, like I said, it's a lot of money to them, and that's my concern.
Okay. The
Any
reason
further-
we have deposits at all is when they move out, we have no way of, once they move out, we have no forwarding address for
Yeah.
them at all. So we can't, if they, the $150 deposit at the time it was made, the base rate was 107, and we still wrote off quite a few.
Yeah. I understand the rationale.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying,
Right.
now you made me forget what I was saying.
But this is, this is part of our responsibility to protect the town.
Yeah, I understand
And so
that.
we're doing our due diligence there, and we could even include that after 1 year of successful renting, maybe do a partial refund or something like that. But up front, if they, I understand where you're coming from, but our town needs that protection. as
Well, you made a good point, Bob.
Okay.
If they pay their utilities on time for 12 months, then refund the deposit?
Yep. Or a part of it, or whatever you want to do. Make a recommendation.
But
Well, Linda, is there a problem? There was a statement about billing backwards.
Right, we bill backwards, so by the time they move out, it could be 2 billings that we're not collecting for,
Right.
like you said, we're not, it's our water. So
So
it
the
would be
deposit
2,
actually serves to pay the final bill.
correct, correct.
Yeah, and I think that's the important point to make, is that it's actually to cover
Their final
the
bill.
use, their final bill, the use of the water and sewer, that charge that they sometimes leave us holding.
Okay, it's to cover it in case they don't pay it. It's not, they don't come in and you just tell them, well, your deposit covers your last
We
bill.
apply it to their last bill.
Yeah, you can apply it to
We
their
do,
last bill.
but that's what
Right.
we do, we apply it to their
Yeah.
last bill.
I understand.
Okay, a motion's been made to raise it to 200 and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, against?
No,
Okay, it's 3-1, and the record reflect it. All right, item number 10, new business. Okay, the Town of Lake Lure Chimney Rock Village Commercial Quarter Walkway Connector. Shannon, I guess, do you want to come up and talk about this? And there's actually 4 components to this.
Well, I'll be glad to stand here and answer any questions you may have, Mr. Mayor. I think Mr. Nally is on call as well, so we're all ready.
Okay.
Would you like me to give just a brief background? Would that be?
Please, sir.
Okay, well,
Okay.
okay.
All right. As you know, several studies that we have done have focused on marketing and long-range transportation needs, and it points out to the importance of focusing on the connection between Chimney Rock and Lake Lure. With that in mind, a connection was proposed and at a cost of about $500,000. As was stated earlier in the meeting, we had applied for some state enhancement money. Of those projects, if you were in the top, say 13, you got funded. Unfortunately, we were just outside of that range, so we weren't available to take advantage of that funding. However, another opportunity has presented itself. It's the Appalachian Regional Commission grant. It has a tight deadline. It's because we are a distressed county. Rutherford County is a distressed county. So with keeping that in mind, we needed to work really hard to get this project shovel-ready. And there were several things we needed to do in order to prepare for applying for this grant. One is to complete the surveying that was started. It's about $7,000. The second is to finish some preliminary engineering, which is about $21,000. And sort of the surprise for us, we had originally estimated about $1,000 for an economic study. Unfortunately, that bid came back at about $7,400. For us, though, this is one of the most important parts of the Appalachian Regional Commission grant. It is what they really look for, is that economic impact of what that project will do for our area. And so this is probably the most important piece of all 3 of them. So what we're asking the board to consider is the resolution to apply for the grant and also to approve those 3 contracts.
Did well.
He did fantastic.
Now, there was, during our budget process, we budgeted quite a bit amount of money for this project, did we not?
Yes, sir. Is the match for the enhancement money, you budget about $90,000. And so what
Okay.
we're proposing is to take the
From that.
contract amounts out of that $90,000.
Got it.
So about $35,000, I believe it was, or $36,000 would be taken out of the $90,000 to pay for these.
Now, under our recommended motion and requested actions, there's 4 separate motions, but the staff is recommending 3 separate motions. Which 3 of the 4 do you want us to recommend?
Actually, we are recommending
Oh,
4. When we
okay.
originally wrote the request, there were only 3, but we added the last one. So,
I got you.
That was a mistake on my part.
I got you.
There are 4.
Shannon corrected that error, I guess.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm prepared to do motions.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
If you're prepared to accept motion, Mr. Mayor, I recommend the following motions and actions. I move that we adopt Resolution 16-09-13A, supporting the town of Lake Lure and Chimney Rock Village Commercial Corridor Walkway Connector, and approving the project's application to the Appalachian Regional Commission Distressed County Grant Program. I further move to approve the surveying proposal by Western North Carolina professional engineers and surveyors in an amount not to exceed $7,000, and authorize the town manager to execute the necessary documents. I further move to approve the preliminary engineering services contract with Equinox Environmental Consultation and Design in an amount of $21,156, and authorize the town manager to execute the necessary services contract. I further move to approve the economic analysis statement of work by Clemson University in the amount of $7,400, and to authorize the town manager to execute the necessary services contract.
Motion made by Stephen. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
You don't have to read the whole thing again.
Want me to say it?
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
I think that's an important piece of our development.
Yep,
Yeah,
It
thank you.
really is.
yeah.
Okay, item number 10B, the bid consideration for the lakefront lot with boathouse. Ron, you want to?
Sure, I'll probably tag team with Sam Carr. This was sort of his project. In March, the town council authorized the advertisement of upset bids on the property located at 273 Buffalo Shoals Road. Over a period of more than 3 months, we continued to advertise the sale per state statute until we received a final bid amount of $70,000 by Colin and Cameron Mackey. We do not have a recommended motion or requested action at this time. That's based on our comments and recommendations, which are found at the bottom of the page. There are 3 issues that we feel require further discussion with the board. First, of course, there's been discussion that the proceeds from the sale of the property would be used towards building a new boathouse and docks located at the Lake Operations Center. The new boathouse would be used to house town boats, including our fireboat. However, the preliminary cost estimate to build that was approximately $150,000. No money is currently budgeted for that project, which means another $80,000 would need to be found. Which brings us to the second issue. If the lot is sold, there is no other location available at this time to house the fireboat, which requires a power and heat during the winter months. Also remember that the fire ISO inspection will be conducted in spring, and we of course do not want to jeopardize that rating. Finally, there's been discussions with NCDOT concerning the replacement of the bridge over the dam. And of course, while it's still too early to determine the exact location of the new structure, perhaps some thought should be taken about delaying the sale until at least some initial planning has been done by NCDOT, which is scheduled for summer. So those are the things that, again, Ron's here, Sam are here in case we can answer any questions for you.
Okay.
On the boathouse and fire dock, I'm sure we could go with a smaller bay, make sure we had the fireboat protected and covered per the standards. and interlock another section later on, if we get into that situation, we could at least accommodate the fireboat, but just build a single bay for the fireboat floating dock, and then you latch on another section, since it's all floating. Should not-
Yeah.
Personally, I think each item should stand on its own. If it makes sense to sell the property, then let's sell it and do whatever with the money. If it makes sense to have the floating dock over there for the fireboat, then, let's look at a way to pay for that. But I don't think that one should necessarily be contingent on the other.
Well, I feel that $70,000 is not sufficient income to warrant selling that lakefront property. I believe it would better be used to serve our citizens, our residents in some way who do not have lakefront property. And the town might even convert it into income property as an eastern side docking facility, marina. I think further study is warranted on what it could be used for in conjunction with the lake operations, and even the fact that that is then contiguous to the dam marina, and perhaps look at what the possibilities are for acquiring or looking at that property as East End income property.
I agree. I'll make a motion that we decline the $70,000 bid and take the property off the bid list or the market, at least until we know what's happening with the bridge, and we can, address it again then. That's my motion.
And I think, just to meet state statute, that's reject instead of decline. Is it accept or reject?
What is?
Reject.
Reject, yeah. Okay.
John made a motion to reject the offer,
I'll second it.
second by Mary Ann. Any further discussion?
Only other discussion is just with the topography, and I don't disagree. If, we want to delay it, I don't have an issue that, but do understand the topography there. That's such a steep bank, it's such a poor location, that I really felt like this offer is probably going to be about the max we could get if we sell it. To
I
re-
think it has a better use as town property
Well, I don't
that we
mind,
need to look at.
I don't mind studying that because there's no time
Right.
pressure on it, but just let you know, I think the offer that we were offered was a reasonable offer.
Well, there's one other thing. When we put when we put the property out there, we didn't know about the possibility of the state doing whatever they're gonna do. We still don't know what that is, so there's some disclosures that haven't been made that would need to be made if we were gonna go
Right.
forward with it.
That's a good point.
That part, I definitely agree with that. On additional disclosures needed,
Yes,
knowing now that the bridge, the state's even thinking about it.
that's correct.
So-
That's a good point.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Before we move on, is there a report that you would like us to follow up on, or just sort of sit tight until the next budget cycle?
So sit tight.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, item 10C. This is the ordinance that has to do with allowing banners to remain posted for 30 consecutive days instead of the current 15 days.
Mr. What?
Sir,
Go ahead.
okay. This comes recommended, came to you from the Chamber of Commerce, and they requested that you commission the planning board to study this issue. Currently, we have 4 good banner sites. We can place 2 banners at each of the 4 sites, and the way the ordinance was currently written, we could do a maximum of 15 days. Now, as the mayor knows, you can apply a little creativity and take it down, and then you can put it right back up for another 15. But the chamber asked you guys to send this to the planning board for review, and they recommended that you consider 30 days. So that basically will allow banner to go up 30 days prior to an event. And you know we have developing some major events now, and that time really, I believe, will be helpful to us. So the planning board recommends changing the 15 to 30. It was an easy change, and you have the recommendation in your packet. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor? I move that we adopt ordinance number 16-09-13 to allow banners to remain posted for 30 consecutive days, and that we find that this amendment is neither consistent nor inconsistent with the 2007-2027 comprehensive plan per the zoning and planning board analysis.
Motion made by Stephen. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mary Ann. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Okay, item 10D. This is the proposed ordinance that clarifying gardens and gardening are allowed in every zoning district.
This has a long story behind it. I'll spare you the detail, but I'll share it with you if you will, or if you would like me to. The bottom line is our current regulations are written so that anything that's not expressly permitted is prohibited. And we simply don't have a provision in there that allows for gardens and gardening. And what this is a simple amendment that basically allows for gardening in gardens to occur without a permit up to a certain area. And what we run into is with our soil and sedimentation control regulations, and we're working on a revision to those as well. But this is the first step. There'll probably be some other items relative to agriculture that will follow this, but this was the first step that the entire planning board could agree on. So we'll take up the other issues later as time permits, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Anything? Steve, smile.
I'll make the motion that we, the proposed ordinance, which will be the 1609-13A revision. I'll make the motion that we, the proposed ordinance, which will be the 1609-13A revision. I'll make the motion that we, the proposed ordinance, which will be the 1609-13A revision. I'll make the motion that we, the proposed ordinance, which will be the 1609-13A revision. I'll make the motion that we, the proposed ordinance, which will be the 1609-13A revision. I'll make the motion that
Aye.